Look out. You gotta keep on keeping on, even with the feeling that you're gonna keep losing. You gotta come back strong.
Hi, 21 families, and welcome to our weekly VODCAST. I hope that you're enjoying this beautiful 3-day weekend, this incredible weather. I hope you're enjoying all of it with your families. I have a couple of quick announcements, and then I'm going to send you off to the strategy session for the week, which is really going to focus on preparing for the Science SOL, which is coming up on Tuesday morning, believe it or not. So couple of quick announcements and then off to that. First of all, on Thursday night, we had our first ever Great Barrett Shake finale. Basically, all of the scholars who stayed after school that night went to 4 different rooms, were judged based upon their manners, tracking, handshakes, their confidence, their passion, everything that we've been working on with the Barrett Academy Constitution this year. And then the top 10 scores were sent to another room where they had to make an impression with 10 people, a minute per person, as best they could. And then those 10 people had to choose the top 2. Well, the top 2 came from our classroom, so congratulations to Jack Tippling and Layla Moore. They are the 2 finalists for the Great Barrett Shake. They will be going to dinner with Mrs. Austin and Mr. Fitzgerald this week to determine the winner of the Great Barrett Shake. Very exciting. Congratulations to both of you. I'm extremely proud of you guys, and I'm really proud of everyone because the judges had only great things to say about the growth that they've seen from the beginning of the year until now. And it was cool because some of the judges had been there in the beginning of the year, so they were really able to give some insights as to what they saw and what the growth that they saw from that very beginning of the year until now. So very, very nice. Congratulations to everyone. As I said, we have 2 more SOLs to go. The Rockstars have put in amazing effective effort in reading and math. In reading, they were incredible. Math, same thing on Friday, and now on Tuesday, first thing bright and early, we do have our Science SOL. Normally, the Science and Social Studies SOLs do not take as long. They're about 50 questions. 10 of them are field questions, so they do not count. Obviously, they don't tell us which ones those are, and the other 40 are the ones that they'll be scored on. There are ample resources I'm going to show you in a second, but all of these kids, all of those rock stars came home with a binder this week that has every single one of those review quizzes that we've been working on since April, and that's a great place to start studying. A lot of the science test is going to be application level skills. The rock stars have really become great critical thinkers, so they have to have that background factual information about the 4th and 5th grade science concepts, but the biggest thing for the test is going to be the application of those skills to different problem situations that they're presented with. So in the strategy session today, I'm going to give you a ton of different strategies that you can use at home over the next 2 days. We've really been studying since April 1st, so I hope that the Rockstars just take a little bit of time this weekend, over the 3-day weekend, and I think they're going to be ready to go on Tuesday. And our final SOL will be next Monday, June 2nd, the day of graduation, Barrett Academy graduation, and that will be social studies. So after the Science SOL this week, we'll really be preparing over the next 3 days to make sure that we have all of the social studies down for our SOL then, and then that will be our last SOL of elementary school, and the Rockstars are going to be off to middle school before we know it. Cannot believe it. On Thursday, I believe it was on Thursday, I sent home a half-sheet, yellow sheet of paper alerting you of a practice for graduation. That's going to be next Sunday night. So Sunday, June 1st, we're asking all of the 5th graders to be at North Stafford High School at 6 p.m. For a practice. We really have to run through a couple of different things in the auditorium there on the big stage, and just give them a feel for how it's going to be. Everyone can leave at 7 p.m. except for the 5th graders who have some type of speaking role or a speech. Those 5th graders know who they are, and we're asking them to stay till 7:30, so just an extra 30 minutes. That's going to be extremely helpful. We hope that everyone can make it because next Monday, June 2nd, a week from tomorrow, is Barrett Academy, the first ever Barrett Academy graduation, and boy do we have a ton of surprises for you guys. We cannot wait for the night. It's been months in the making. So incredibly proud of your kids. I'm speechless. So very excited for it, guys. And finally, I've been working on this project for a couple of months, and on Thursday I sent home that form that details a camping trip that I planned with Mrs. Austin for our class the week after school lets out. So on Tuesday, June 17th to Wednesday, June 18th, I have a camping trip planned for our class at Lake Anna State Park, about an hour away down south. We're asking that the rock stars be ready at 2 p.m. at Kate Waller Barrett, and then they can be picked up at 4 p.m. on Wednesday. Now, I also put out the option there, if you would like to come along and be with your rock star the whole time, that is absolutely excellent. You can indicate that on the bottom of the form. The more chaperones, the merrier. We're going to have about 6 Barrett staff members on the trip as well, so no need to worry if you cannot make it on that trip. We'll have each campsite will be separated by gender, and there will be 2 adults in another tent right in the campsite to make sure everything is going well. So if you have any other questions, you can feel free to let me know. I'm going to give more information after graduation on June 2nd, but I'm hoping that I can at least get those initial intention forms in by Friday so that I'm able to reserve a campsite. I'm asking for $15 if possible to help to defray the costs of the reservations, because the campsites do cost money, and we'll probably be canoeing and some other cool things along the way as well. Also, if you have a tent that you could donate to us for that night, Tuesday, June 17th, that would be amazing as well. So very excited for the camping trip. It's going to be a ton of fun. I hope that your Rockstar is able to make it. If you want to make it, Rockstar families, that is great as well. Just indicate that on that form. Any questions, let me know. Finally, I know that this week we did not have a newsletter. It was a crazy busy week. I wasn't able to get that made, but if you're probably wondering the SOL review quizzes, well, we do have those remaining social studies ones. We're not going to have an SOL review quiz on Tuesday because it's a science SOL. So I'll talk with the rock stars on Tuesday after our SOL about future plans for that. We will fit in those review quizzes in the next couple of days, but it's not going to be anything strenuous. But we're really going to be spending 3 days of solid review prior to our social studies SOL on Monday, June 2nd. Okay? So I believe those are all of the announcements that I have. On the last newsletter and in the email, the weekly email, I sent all of the important dates that are upcoming, including Barrett Academy graduation, Water Day, Dare Day, Field Day, Barrett graduation at 7 p.m. on Thursday, June 12th, and the last day of school, which is an early release, along with the camping trip information. There's so much coming up in this remaining month of the school year. I am so very excited for it. We're really going to make the most of our remaining month together as a Room 21 Rockstar family, guys. Now I'm going to send you off to the science review section of the VODCAST for the week, and I'll see you on the other end. Okay, Room 21 Rockstars. So first I'm going to start you off with some scientific method review today. In simply just asking yourself, is this an observation, an inference, a prediction, or a conclusion? So I want us to think about the difference between each of these. So if I have an observation, that means something that I see, or hear, or taste. I'm going to try to draw a hand. Touch, taste, there's a tongue, or smell, there's a nose. Okay, so that's an observation. That's something with the 5 senses. An inference is when you take what's in your brain and add it, your brain plus what you see or what is given. Okay, so it's your background knowledge plus what is given, what's in the given situation. In reading, we made a lot of inferences. We would take what's in the text, and then we take what we know, and we combine it together to make an inference. A prediction is a hypothesis. I guess you could use either word. This is a guess about what's going to happen, but it's an educated one. Okay, and a conclusion is when you take the evidence. Conclusion is normally at the end, okay? Think about the conclusion of a book or the conclusion in your writing. You take the evidence and you make a statement or an observation. And you make a statement. Okay, so basically what I did here is I was thinking about grass, okay? So it's such a beautiful day outside today. I was thinking about grass and different ways that we can kind of review that. Okay, so each one of these has to find a home down here. So the grass will grow with the upcoming rain. The grass is green and very prickly. The grass will grow with the addition of fertilizer, or the grass will grow 3 inches in 1 week after the addition, or I'm sorry, the grass grew 3 inches in 1 week after the addition of fertilizer. So we kind of have to match. Where does observation go? Where does inference go? Where does prediction go? Where does conclusion go? Those are some things we want to think about. Okay, so what I want you to do is actually pause this, try to match observation to one of these statements, inference to one of these statements, prediction to one of these statements, and conclusion, and then I'll come back with the actual answers. You can get yourself 4 house points for completing this, but try to think about it first before I actually tell you the answer. So go ahead and pause the video, and then I'll come back. Okay, guys, so the grass will grow with the upcoming rain. The grass is green and very prickly. The grass will grow with the addition of fertilizer, and the grass grew 3 inches in 1 week after the addition of fertilizer. Well, I see this one here, the second one. The grass is green and very prickly, and I know that's an observation. Why? Because it says green and prickly, and those are things I do with my 5 senses. Okay, that is an observation. That is factual. It's what I see right there. Okay, so then I think about where is an inference, a prediction, or conclusion? Well, the very last statement, the grass grew 3 inches in 1 week after the addition of fertilizer. Well, I see grew, okay? So this is an observation after the experiment actually happened, so I know that this has to be a conclusion, okay? This is when I took the evidence and I made a statement. It grew 3 inches in 1 week after the addition of fertilizer. So I measured everything, I thought about it, that's my conclusion. Now I have 2 other statements. The grass will grow with the addition of fertilizer, and the grass will grow with the upcoming rain. I think that I'm going to have to, these are kind of interchangeable, but I would say that a prediction would be the grass will grow with the addition of fertilizer. I haven't tested it yet. If I'm just looking at that statement, I'm not sure if the grass will grow with the addition of fertilizer. It might not, but that's a prediction. And the grass will grow with the upcoming rain. The reason I'm going to say that this one is an inference, and you probably could switch these two around, guys, the I and the P, is because I know that rain, that's my background knowledge, what's in my brain, causes grass to grow. So I know that happens. So this is how I would have sorted those out. Okay, so that's some good practice for making an observation, inference, prediction, and conclusion. Good practice for your SOL upcoming. Now I'm going to turn you away to YouTube really quickly because this is a good way, I know I played this in class, just to get the scientific method down, guys.
Ask a question, form a hypothesis and make a prediction, do a test or experimentation, analyze data and draw a conclusion. Make an observation, ask a question, form a hypothesis and make a prediction, do a test or experimentation, analyze data and draw a conclusion. Scientific method, scientific method, scientific method, scientific method, scientific method, scientific method. First, you make an observation of the world around. Take notes and record all the things that you found. Then you ask a simple question, something that you want to learn. Then you form a hypothesis to explain what you observe. Then you make a prediction about how it's gonna go. Do a test with a control and a variable. Then you analyze the data and
So that's my scientific method video for you guys for today. That's just kind of to get down that vocabulary, kind of like we just practiced on the Word document there, identifying was this an observation, an inference, a prediction, or a conclusion. Now I'm going to take you down to some resources I have under class news that are excellent for you to use at home right now. And the first one I'm going to show you is actually under the Rockstar documents. This is what you've been using, guys, and I really hope that you took it home this weekend. Just being in the classroom today, it looks like everyone did. They're the refrigerator cards and the quizzes that you have. These are the exact study tools that you use to help you get this material down a while back. Okay, a couple of areas that I feel like we as a class need a little bit more work on or a little bit more studying would include probably forces, motion, and energy. Basically, this whole page is something I'd look at, especially the famous scientists, you know, who invented the electromagnet, the lightning, the inventor of the light bulb, and the flowers. You know, I actually had a couple of you guys come up to me last week and say, Mr. Reichert, I need some more work with the flowers. So I showed one of you how to make a diagram and to kind of get down what the parts mean first, use some note cards to get those down, and then identify the parts of a flower. That's really important as well. You know, we covered all of this 4th grade content, and I feel really confident about where you guys are at, but you do want to just look over it over the weekend to ensure that you have it down. Okay, and then the 5th grade content I would also look over. That is going to be on the 5th grade refrigerator card that's also under the Rockstar documents. But with this one, guys, I really think you're pretty solid in most of these areas. I would just kind of look it over and say, hey, I want to spend some more time there. You know, make sure you look over the cells. We kind of accelerated through that part of the curriculum pretty quickly. So I'd look at, you know, what's the cell membrane do? What does the nucleus do? Different things like that. That's really important. As well as vascular, non-vascular, vertebrates, invertebrates. Okay, I really want you guys to spend some extra time on that. You know, vascular plants are ones that carry water and food from the soil to other parts of the plant. Non-vascular do not have the tubes to carry those nutrients and water from the soil. And then we have vertebrates and invertebrates, animals with backbones, animals without backbones, and we've practiced that a lot as well. Okay, so that's the first place that you can go. You should have that in your binder. If you don't, then it's right here available on the Kate Waller-Barrett webpage for you to use. Okay, and I would also look at the quizzes, guys. You know, look at the quizzes that maybe you didn't do so well on. Those are what I would commit the time and effort to overall. And then, under class news, I have a few new resources. Under Science SOL Review Materials, I have 3 excellent links. The first one is the same page that I showed you last week, where you can actually choose Science 5, the number of questions, and get going with them, okay? And you can really practice and study. Well, which tool is used to separate white light into the color spectrum? That would be the prism. That's my final answer. And the cool thing about this, I think I showed you guys this last week, was, and for some of them, not all of them, you can actually get an explanation read to you, or an explanation will come up and you can read it of, well, why is this actually the answer? So when you're choosing these, just remember to choose Science 5 and the number of questions that you want to go with. And I think you guys will be in good shape there. And now, let me just get back to the Kate Waller-Barrett webpage. Here we are. So that's the first site I have. For any of those quizzes that you can do, once again, like last week, you can get 5 house points for each 20-question quiz that you complete. Now, this is a program that we've been on last week. I'm hoping, if you try to use this at home, I'm hoping that it works for you. But these are the actual sample questions on the program that we use at school to take the tests. And these are some good questions I showed you last week. Just make sure you allow all of this. Remember, at school, it really works well on Firefox. So you may, if you have Firefox at home, it's this icon down here. It may work a little bit better, and it takes a little bit of time to load. So give it some time and some patience if you guys decide to get onto this. As you can see, mine. And the cool thing about this, when it does show up, is it's going to give us some wonderful questions in all areas that we need to study. Okay, and especially some of those TEI questions that we want to look at. Those are some areas. So just give that some time to load. That's another great site. If you complete that and record your answers, you can get yourself 10 house points. And finally, here's a game that you can play to kind of help you get down those science terms. This is a 2008 release test if you want to look at that. Okay, so those are all there. And finally would be SOL Pass, guys. And let me show you a couple areas that I want to take you to now. Remember, the password is Tiger. Science 4.5 is where you want to go. Under scientific investigation, I want you to spend a little bit of time on that and also on the dichotomous key. We looked at that the other day on the release test. How can you use the dichotomous key? That'd be a great place to study, as well as this quiz, okay? So they're basically doing an experiment on flowers, and you really can get down those terms. Well, what's an independent variable? Well, that's the one that you, as a scientist, change. The dependent variable depends on the independent variable, and we looked at that last week, if you remember. We drew a graph, and we said that the x-axis, is always the independent variable, the one that you change, and the y-axis, up and down, remember I looked like a y, that is the dependent variable, the one that changes based on whatever happened here. Okay, so if you have an experiment where say that the independent variable is the amount of time you leave a plant out in the sun, or something like that. Well, and then this one is how much it grew based on that. Okay, so if you left the plant out in the sun this much, and this was your graph, the dependent variable is the one that depends on how long you left it out in the sun. That quiz that I just showed you is an excellent resource, guys, to get down some of those terms. Okay, plus it shows you the answers, and it self-checks for you when you're done with it. All of these release test questions by subtopic are also great if you want to spend a little bit more time on certain areas, and all of the release items are right there. But like I said, guys, the major thing you want to look at would be the actual study guide that you have created in your binder with all of the quizzes that we've been doing since April 1st, with those refrigerator cards. That is the best place to go. Okay, I'll be providing you guys with some links this week for social studies. We'll be really spending 3 days on that after our science test. That's our last SOL, so we'll be able to commit serious time to that. But right now I want you to focus on this science, okay? My secret code this week is worth 10 because it's a 3-day weekend. I appreciate your efforts in watching the VODCAST for the week, and that secret code is 14 days remain. Let's make some magic happen. That is your secret code. That is worth 10 house points. You can get house points for doing anything else. Just bring in the evidence that you were doing it at home, and I'll put some house points on the board. And as you know, the house point race is closed, and I think this Friday we're going to be able to see how everyone is doing in that house point race. So do not forget about that, guys. Now I'm going to send you back over to Mr. Riker. Okay, Rockstar families, like I said, I really hope that you enjoy this beautiful weekend, this extended 3-day weekend with your families at home. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, do not hesitate to contact me. Remember, Rockstars, Monday night, get a good night's rest, a great breakfast in the morning, come to school with that excellent Barrett attitude and effective effort for our Science SOL on Tuesday. You are the best families in Stafford County, and I'll see you next time.
Look out!